Oh, are we
Jonas,
live?
yeah, we're
Oh,
live.
okay. My bad. I was about to take a nap.
What? Why would you
Anyway,
take a nap?
yeah, I don't know because the AI told me to.
Oh, well,
The
hey,
robot told me
welcome everyone and welcome. Wake up, buddy. Come on. Come on, get that coffee to kick in. We got to wake up, otherwise the bots are going to win. If we keep
to. The bots are
sleeping
gonna
on the
take
job,
over.
mister. So how's your day? How's your happy Thursday since our inauguration of last week or what inaugural episode?
Part one of a multi-part series.
Yeah, I know. We're kind of like
One of
funny that way,
N.
aren't we? Like,
Yeah, it's not the first time.
well, that is a true statement. That is a very
Yeah.
true statement there. So, oh my goodness. So I just have to make this comment before we kick off this show. But if anyone cares or not care or not even notice, it's all good in the hood. Not much going on. Is the fact that the whole chat GPT and now GPT-4 like has come out and all that stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
funny to me because it's like um there's no like end in sight, so I just changed it to bots. Is that an acceptable word to replace it with? Because you and I were chatting about, I'm like, I don't want to say chat GPT anymore because it's GPT-4 and then there's Bard. And, our guest has eloquently
Right.
stated that there's others like Bard and Llama, of which I had no idea and that I would love to talk about.
Llama's
But
the Facebook one. Yep.
right, but is bots the appropriate umbrella? Or
I don't
is it?
know. Do you think the robots find that offensive?
I don't know because we didn't bother saying roboticals,
Bots. Hmm.
robotness of it
We
all.
can.
I don't know.
We may
I
have
don't
to
know.
ask.
All right. So, do you want to ask? Shall we roll up our intro then? Are we jumping into
Let's
this?
roll the intro so before Sarah gets
Passes
sleepy
out.
and leaves. All right.
Yes. Or before you sleep, young man. Jeez, go get some coffee. I'm rolling intro. Oh, hey, we're professionals, aren't we? I totally forgot to
We
change
are
up the card.
pro.
Oh, I knew I forgot to do something. Okay, so sorry, Sarah. Your cover art should have been on there. We'll fix it in post production.
Fix it in post.
Hey,
Speaking
it's
of
my favorite.
Sarah, we have a guest today.
Yes. So talk to me, Goose. Talk to me about our guest.
Am I supposed to do that?
You better.
Okay.
After 10 years of knowing someone, you better have something to say.
Yeah, Sarah's a data scientist that I've worked with at various different places on various different projects over, yeah, like you said, several years, probably close to 10 years, and we have had some really interesting conversations from time to time about what constitutes an AI and whether there is such a thing, and bias and dealing with the limitations and the negative outcomes that you can get from these things. And she's also a little bit snarky and sassy, kind of like you are, and I like to think I am. So I thought, let's get Sarah on here and we'll talk some smack about the robots.
Well, I say no better time than now. Welcome, Miss Sarah in the Hise. Oh, wait. Wrong one.
Guess whose soundboard is working?
Someone's soundboard is playing.
Okay.
I'm easily amused. I'm warning you right now, Sarah. I'm in a itchy mood. So hopefully you're ready to play with us, my friend.
Hopefully I don't say anything too spicy. That'll get me in too much trouble.
Yeah, right.
In my world, you can never be in trouble if you're being your
Never be
authentic
too
self.
spicy.
And it's coming from a place of honesty and truth. You can't just say stuff and be like offensive wildly and all that stuff. It's more along the lines of like,
Coming from
now
a
let's get
place
back it up.
of love.
if you're going to talk smack about something, back it up, right? That's all I'm saying. That's all. Is all.
Sarah's the head / chief / senior / lead data scientist of Artemis Analytica. Sarah also has a podcast that is pretty cool, Sarah in Tech.
Yes,
she's known to wear crazy outfits.
This is as crazy as I was going to get today. Sorry.
Good enough.
Dude, hey, at least you actually got dressed. Like, I think that's more than I think. Jonas actually looks dressed today, but I think last week, weren't you in like sweats too?
I was also wearing a V-neck T-shirt. It just had a company logo on it.
Oh, did it? Okay. Well, Sarah, welcome. So I have to ask before we jump into anything and hardcore with chat and all that good stuff, because I know you guys will have a lot to say, but why have you been friends with Jonas for 10 years? That's incredible. Like, why? What's going on there?
We just keep bumping into each other in business settings. I kind of like brought him a contract recently, and I trust him to help me with my data engineering needs and not make me feel like an idiot, because I don't know my like computer science data engineering stuff. I'm like really good at building proof of concept models. So half the time when they're like, we need something, I'm like, I need help, please.
She's the brains and I'm the plumber.
Yeah, that's good, I guess. So she's like the
mad scientist.
Tower.
There we go. Yeah,
she's mad scientist.
Not ivory tower. That's got.
Well, she is. You know, you should worship the ground she walks on. I mean, she's a smart, intelligent woman, and you have to like execute her commands. Yeah, is that pretty much it?
I think we're more like partners in crime rather than I give him a bunch of orders.
You should give him more orders to do. He loves it. Look at that face. He loves it. All right. I don't want to stress you out further, Jonas. Jeez Louise. So Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. So, I mean, look, you two are far more technical than me. And so, look, we titled this week's little talkie talk about the bot said, what? This is
was that my cue?
That was your cue, because I'm like, wait, you titled it, dude.
Yeah, well, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about some of the technical issues or technical details, the things that we regular folk might not understand about the differences between things. But also, I know that this would be a good chance to talk about how these models can get off track. Bias is the word that is sort of the semi-technical word that we use, but basically, we've got instances of ChatGPT telling people how to blow things up, and we've got Bing telling, falling in love with the guy in some sort of weird codependent thing, and then turning around and saying, terrible things to people. And we had what was the HR thing not too long ago that was given a problem, and Sarah reminded me of a certain fairly large tech company that their computer vision face recognition thing could only recognize one race of people for some reason.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I remember that.
How do these things happen? But that was you that reminded me of that? My bad.
Yeah, no, I think it was me, but yeah.
Yeah, right.
It might have been me or my peoples. Just saying.
Sure, could be. But first of all, as you pointed out earlier, is the ChatGPT is the ChatGPT hype over, or is it just getting started?
Ooh, all right, Sarah.
Have you like gone on YouTube and looked at the number of YouTube videos that are like make money with ChatGPT? It's
right.
like insane. Or
I have seen some very professional people, old people who have no idea what a ChatGPT is, talking about this.
the thing that I thought was crazy is that someone gave ChatGPT like I think like $3 or something like that and asked it to like go out and make something. And one of the problems it kept running into is when it tried to make a website, it had like the captcha, just click I'm not a robot. So it went out and hired someone to click that for them. And then when that person asked them, they're like, oh, I'm just visually impaired. So ChatGPT has no problem lying.
Right.
And like giving it $3, it can go out and build a whole business apparently. It's also like knows how to like what do you call it? Take itself and put it on like everyone's like computer so that way you can never fully delete it. So it'll always be there. That's not creepy. Those are the things that kind of scare me. The things that don't scare me are like it's really great when you're trying to make social media posts. You can like word vomit and then be like turn it into this. And like you could each social media platform, you just tell it, okay, yeah, now take that text and do Facebook. Now take that text and do LinkedIn. And it's like, here you go. And it formats it the perfect way for each social media. I'm like, this is so much easier than trying to sit and edit and do it.
I have thoughts on that specifically as a creator, and that's my business. But that being said, is I get the convenience. I get the automation component. I do not like the fact that the drivers of this technology also have benefits to capturing even more data from us, even capturing more, putting us at their mercy, if you will, or whatever you want to call it. So that's where my point of contention is like, come on, people. If it's Microsoft, if it's Google, if it's Facebook, like, what else more do you want to give to these people? Like, I'm just saying,
I mean, there are some people that want a computer chip right in their brain. So that way they can just think things and go on the internet. And they're like, and everyone says, oh my God, I wouldn't ever do that. But don't we all carry around phones? Isn't that basically what we do with this little thing? Like, there's very mild filter between our head and what we type into this thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the next step, if you're comfortable with this, is probably putting it straight into your brain, which is kind of scary, but that's kind of the direction that these things are headed. There's like a whole study called human machine interface and like computer interface, and they just put the computer right in your brain. So you can just, give them more information more easily.
So that's funny. Right. You should mention that because a girlfriend of mine actually said, I don't think I would mind being a test case to put like a chip for her phone to, and I'm like, whoa, slow your roll, girl. Why? Do you want to be, was that Logan's Run? Like, why do you want that? Or for me, Black Mirror, right? Like, why would you want that in the back of your head or whatever? And then, I mean, is that the direction we want to go in?
Yeah, the assumption is that there's an off switch, right? Like, if it's always in your head and it's always on, like it's always.
I mean, it'll probably be as effective as opening like the private browsing window,
which not is ineffective. Let's be real. Let's all sense of. So yes, everyone, if you're watching porn on your private browser, everyone knows, okay?
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. Like, and that's just false. And this is where again, lies. Yeah, they're gonna get you. And yes, that was a song reference. So anyone that like actually knows the comments, I would definitely appreciate.
Right. Pop that into the comments. You get
I know. Oh my gosh. So I mean, okay, guys, let's really dig deep here because I'm on this like tip here and train of thought, which is the assumption is you can turn it off. But my understanding with all things AI and all that is it's only as good as its coding, right? So if no one codes an off switch, but they market as such, aren't we at the mercy of trusting the marketers to say, oh, okay, I can turn it off, or they give you a false sense of turn off, but then it's just working in the back end, like. What are the legal implications? Has this even been an article discussed I haven't read about yet?
So I'm going to throw out an example of my idea of how this will actually play out if it ever comes about, and then I'm going to kick it over to Sarah and let the expert speak instead of us dilettantes. But several years ago, like 8 or 10 years ago, I saw where there was a new product that was being built that plugged into your car, and it would give you all this information, it would feed all this information. And at that time, there was some really complicated way that it would had to be sent to the internet to whoever it was that was running it. But I said at that time, this is going to start with people who do this because it's cool, because it's fun, because they like gadgets. It's going to slowly go to people are going to do this to keep an eye on their kids. People are going to do this because the insurance company is going to say, hey, we'll give you a discount if you plug this thing into your car and let us monitor your driving habits.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of time. It has already started to be proposed that these things are mandatory on vehicles now. This will go the same way. It will be a thing where, my idea is it'll go from, oh, this is a cool gadget. Let me, I've got, $100,000 laying around in a spare piece of my brain. Let me get one of these. And then it's going to go to, hey, we're going to give you a discount if you keep the brain implant turned on all the time and let us show you ads in your sleep. And next thing you know, it'll be, you have to have it, whether it's mandatory like law or mandatory like shopping at Walmart, because you can't get everything.
In this day and age, though, like, how do you go through life without a smartphone? Like at restaurants, you scan QR codes.
Yep.
At the checkout line, you can scan your phone. Like you need to look up something or figure out how to get somewhere, it's your phone. It to the point where they said it's a basic, like, is it a utility or whatever? So you can get it subsidized by the government because you have to have a smartphone.
Right.
So
that's funny you should mention that. That's funny you should mention that, because there is a project of individuals that I'm working with, and it has to do with the music festival project. And there was discussion of, well, what percentage of people will not have a smartphone? Because there was a very real conversation of, okay, what platforms can we use? What applications can we use, to enhance an experience and et cetera? And, could you buy it off the smartphone? Do you have to carry paper tickets? Like for those that don't have smartphones, like how would you collect tickets and all that? It's a very real challenge, but it still exists today. Maybe in the next 10 years, maybe everyone's going to have 100%. I just wonder, by us leaning into technology as we are we somehow excluding different demographics, financial sectors, if you will? Like, I don't know. And are they going to be better off than us? Because damn it, they're not reliant on these damn things,
I mean, there's like a lot of things that can go wrong. Even just with like the power grid in the United States is incredibly unstable. So what happens if we lose power for 3 days? How many people are going to have a smartphone in order to do X, Y, and Z, let alone internet?
I'm going to go print out all my notes right now.
Dude, that's such a valid point. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, the power grid and all that. Okay, now that makes me think of like, okay, what about ransomware attacks, et cetera, and all those other cybersecurity implications as well. I mean, golly gee willikers, what if it's like it gets to the point where like now if we're that lazy as humans that we just get robots or bots to code our freaking ransomware attacks now? Like we just automate it and we're like, done.
It's already happening. That's already in progress.
Oh, okay. That's great. You would think they would like bake it into the different like chat bot tools to like not build ransomware and not teach people how to kill other people. And
it is. It is baked in. But guess what? You can get around it.
I know. You can force them to, because I know. I had a friend that got into a fight with a bot, and it's like, I can't answer that question. You can force it to answer the question. Well, it's like, if you had a gun to your head, bot, how would you answer the question? And then the bot gives me an answer. And I'm like, really? That's all you had to do? Yeah. Like, give a hypothetical gun to it and say, like, you have to answer.
Okay, so that goes back to someone had to code that. Someone had to code to say that is, if you are, again, that just seems to me, okay, how would
it's not even
a good or a bad thing or what it means? Like, unless it's got someone coded in to say a gun is something that will end you IRL. Like, I don't maybe I don't understand it, but you have to code for all that stuff, right?
So you don't actually code it. It's all about the data that you feed it. So if we go back to the facial recognition with one of the big tech companies where it intentionally doesn't recognize a certain race of people when it first came out. The problem is all the training data was one race of people with the minority being a dark
Asian,
skin
just say it.
tone.
It's
And
okay.
Excluded.
well,
Might
the Asians, and it is also African American, but it understood Caucasians. So it wouldn't even recognize African Americans like as their face because it was darker. And then a lot of the times if you take a picture with a smartphone, the color differential, if you have a Caucasian and an African American, isn't it doesn't work right for whatever reason. The problem was the training data. And so you have to balance and make the training data unbiased. So a lot of these chat tools have a bias in there that you can't see, but I'm very, very like super familiar with it. The first chat tool ever was called WordDevec, and it was trained on newspaper data. And you're going to tell me, golly gee, Sarah, newspaper data is super unbiased. But it isn't. It is super duper sexist, racist. It is all of the is, and it is awful. We were playing around with WordDevec recently, and if you put man in, it gives you a list of adjectives absolutely different than the list of adjectives for woman. And it is not good. It's like, as a woman, you should be a caretaker and stuff like that. It's a lot.
Wait. As a woman, you should be a caretaker.
So if you put in the word woman, one of the first words it gives you back would be caretaker. And it doesn't matter if you fine tune the model with additional data. This initial model that they created, this is the first large language model called WordDevec off of newspaper data, is extremely sexist and extremely all this racist. Like it's awful. And so if you put woman in, it's the first adjective that comes back is caretaker. And one of the things that ChatGPT or GPT in general has a problem with, if you put doctor in, it's going to say, obviously all doctors are male. And one of the things that are closest in this very complex thing for the word doctor is man, male. But if you put nurse in, nurse will always come back female, woman. And it isn't like saying, hey, what is the gender of a doctor? It's like you put in the word doctor and it says, it just automatically is like male. Like that's the closest thing in its mind. So I'm like,
that brings up two questions that I feel like you can give us a really solid answer on. One is all these things that we're calling intelligent. They're really very complicated statistical models. They're not really when we say intelligent, they're not. We don't necessarily mean the same thing as what these companies do when they say that. So that's question number one. Bigger question, probably more interesting question, is so when we say these models are biased, especially in the context of their statistical models, is it because the model has some sort of inherent thing that was built into it that's causing it to be biased, or is it reflecting what has been, the history and the text that it's been fed, which comes from us?
So my unfortunate truth that I like to say is that if you think these models are biased, you're just looking into a mirror of our own culture.
Right.
And so you're looking at the bias of our culture. It's being reflected back at you and you don't like it. What is the solution to remove bias? The unfortunate thing, again, is we're going to have to change our culture, because I can change the data and manipulate it and try to make it as unbiased and representative. But like the question becomes, okay, if we're going to try to make it unbiased by race, do I do it proportional to the individuals in the United States, or do I make each race equally represented, like 5 images of each race? Okay, well, if you have that, well, what happens when you do add gender in? Because do you have an equal amount of male and female and inside each race? And it gets horribly complex because we have more than just race and gender that we should control for when we're training an image model. So you can imagine how crazy it is when you actually get to the point of building a language model, a written language model, like these large language models are. And I think ChatGPT was trained on a lot of academic papers.
And some of it was academic papers and some of it was unknown. They tell us what some of it was.
And it was Nigerians. So they paid Nigerians $2 an hour to send text back and forth. And then they modified it in such a way that like this is how they would want the chat to be conversed, and they created several gigabytes of this information. So they took GPT, and then they took.
Did anybody ever actually get the money?
I mean, who knows? It might have been
from the prince,
Nigerian prince.
I was gonna say, isn't there an American prince that apparently that poor Nigerians that are doing all this hard work are going to get paid with? Is that no?
That's probably a better question. Did the Nigerians get paid?
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, okay, so in order to build up that kind of data set, obviously it leaned very heavily on human interaction or human intervention, human data input. Can I ask why, and do you guys know why they hired Nigerians specifically? Because if this is like a language model thing,
it's also it's cheap. It's the setback.
But they don't speak American English or British English. They speak Nigerian English. So what's it gonna learn but Nigerian English?
So I don't know how these individuals were selected. I just know they were from Nigeria and they were paid $2 an hour, and they made allotted, like, here is a question, and then they had to generate multiple responses. And then I think part of the thing was they also ranked the responses, and they were also reviewed by researchers. So the types of questions and the types of responses. But this was done.
I'm pretty sure that's what the Quora website is for.
But you don't want a chatbot to act like Quora.
I was gonna say, if you really want adventure, why don't you just like tag it to a Reddit forum and just have at it and, like, you know, see the degradation of society within like or Twitter for that matter. Why don't we just have some real fun and just...
Right. Well, so Sarah you mentioned the reflection, and then you also mentioned the, you know, how do you control for these things, and where do you put the balance? And I think that's a very good question too, because, like, obviously we don't want ChatGPT or, you know, something that's saying that's allowing, you know, medical procedures or something like that to be a reflection of the injustices and things that have historically been present. But at the same time, for a lot of research, there are a lot of very valid research programs, research directions where you do want that reflection of the bias in the world to be there, because that's what you're trying to identify and see the effects of. And so, you know, there's not, I mean, I'm kind of getting into our government ethics show that we would like to have one day, but the where do you know, how do you want, this can't be one size fits all, right? Because there's so many different things that we want to do with these tools. Or can, I mean, is there a way to,
how do you regulate too? Like, any sort of regulation in the space, should there be regulation? Also, if you don't impose standard regulation, like each individual company has made up their own regulations. So as a joke, like, we went out to Llama, which is Facebook, Bard, which is Google's, and ChatGPT, which is OpenAI/Microsoft. We asked them to write a song for us. And it will give you, like, here's the background music, here's your lyrics, you know, and you can go at it. But Bard was, like, absolutely vehemently against providing that. But ChatGPT was like, here you go. And, you know, the lyrics and everything fit perfectly. And Llama, the same thing, refused to do it. Obviously, it was trained in such a way in which generating lyrics for music was not okay.
Right.
That's interesting.
But, like, that's obviously, like, no one's like, oh my gosh, that's really super weird moral ground. But, like, if they're going to start regulating it in that way, and each tool is going to have its pros and cons, you know, we don't regulate search engines. So are we going to start regulating these bot tools that we're using?
You know, okay, so I don't even know if it can be done. I remember going to CES in 2020. Samsung put out there, forgot what it's called now. It's been a few eons, and a pandemic in the middle of it, so I forgot. But I mean, should you have like some kind of watermark or some kind of like I don't want to call it PG rating or whatever, but to like say that this was created by a bot? Is that something that we is even an option to consider, because I remember seeing just recently a well-known popular not TikTok, Instagram photographer came out and said all these images were done by AI.
Right.
Right. So what is it and what can we do to find, if we're going to have that technology and it's going to rock whatever, and they're going to do some amazing songs and lyrics. And I think they did one that made them sound like Radiohead or something like that. Should there be some kind of like disclaimer, watermark, something, so we at least can say, okay, I like it. It's made by a bot, but give us the freedom to decide. I don't know. Can it be done? Does it matter?
So there are tools coming out that can identify when things are not created naturally, even though to us, to the naked eye, or when we're reading it, we think that it was created by a human. So they're starting to do that specifically for kids who decide they don't want to write their essays.
Mm-hmm.
But the tool, will identify text and if it was generated by a bot. I don't know all the details of how it works. I just know that they're working on it. So
I want to see them run marketing copy through that and see how much marketing copy comes back as being written by an AI.
Okay, so that's finished in marketing copy, because you guys said earlier, Sarah, I think you said it was they took papers as part, like, as well as Nigerian writers. Okay, let's be honest. I know a buddy of mine who wrote white papers for a certain company that I used to be with, and he purposely added BS lines because it was all tucked in there because he knew no one read it. It was like he knew no one read it. So this concerns me, because we know there is a game in the intellectual or the professorial community that to get published is their thing, right? So how good is the original material? You're only as good as your initial, data set. So,
well, they've also been trained on fiction, right? How do you tag fiction, nonfiction, sort of fiction?
And it sometimes doesn't understand what is real and isn't real. I saw someone was talking with ChatGPT about the moon and it orbiting the Earth. And it said, like, eventually in X amount of days, the moon will no longer like orbit the world or something. And I was like, what? That's not a thing. And it wasn't even a realistic time frame. It was like in 3 years. I was like, I don't know how you got it to say that. So you can trick it.
I'm just saying, I'm building my rocket ship in the backyard now, just in case.
Okay.
But I did write 17 papers that are like peer reviewed, and most of which I'm as the first author. I don't think anyone actually reads them, but I get to say in interviews, I'm like, I'm first author and I have 17 papers. And I know no one's read my over 100-page thesis. Like, I don't even think my own advisor did that.
I would probably skim it if you sent it to me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
I'm masochistic like that. Some people like to get beaten. I like to read papers.
But that's what these things are trained on, are those pieces, as well as, it's also it obviously knows social media, because I can tell it take the same post and rewrite it for each social media platform, and it knows the stylization and the wording and how to get the most engagement on all the social media. So
it has an opinion on that, I can tell.
Look,
don't kill me. I work a lot. I can't write all my social media posts to promote everything.
I'm right there with you. But here's the thing. And then at that point, are your posts authentic to you anymore? So even though for time efficiency, and you're just like, well, I gave them the seedlings, and then that bot made it bloom. Is it still you? Or
okay? Well, so theoretically, supposedly, you can get the various GPTs to do in the style of, right? And some of them are supposedly pretty good. I'm not super interested in that, so I haven't really played around with it much. But how much of my content would I have to load into it for it to spit something back in my style and look authentic?
But it doesn't have that type of memory unless you're super famous. I know someone who's super famous, and the bots do know them. And so it's really funny because we're like, do this in the style of this person's name, and then it'll actually generate as and it's really funny because we're like, you would say something exactly like that, dude.
Okay.
And so But other than that, it only has so much memory on an individual user, even inside of a chat window.
Okay.
Because I was using it to write a book, and it would forget after so many characters what I told it previously about the book that I was writing with it. I am not actually writing a book. You will not see a book from me. I don't have the time to write a book. But I was trying to work with it to see if I could get it to go there, and it cannot handle that.
Right.
So
again, with what you're saying also reminds me of another Black Mirror episode. And by the way, I love that damn show, but I hate it at the same time because it like entertains me and stresses me out simultaneously. And it makes me think. And I'm like, I don't need to be thinking, people. I just want to watch a show and turn it off like Big Bang Theory and go to bed, right? No, but Black Mirror does keep you thinking. So they had that one episode, which is actually my personal favorite, where it was the husband and wife. I forgot the title, but the husband dies early on, and then she had that dilemma of bringing him back to quote life as a robot, and it took all his social media posts, and that became him. And so it was like the happy version of him, if you will. It's a mind
Do you
app,
ever go on to social media and like post the awful things about your life? It's always like, look at my vacation. My life's so great. I had this amazing dinner. You're never like, I got into a fight with my significant other and I'm just mad now. Thought I'd let y'all know.
Well, there are people I know that do that, and to which we all go like, TMI. We don't give a crap what's going on. I mean, if you're gonna break up, break up. I don't need to hear the freaking swan song. But at the same time, why can't we be authentic and be like, yeah, I mean, now maybe I don't need to hear every nuance of like, Billy didn't, take off his socks today and trudged mud. I mean, I get that, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, don't we as humans just want to look good? So therefore they're inclined, maybe some people might be inclined to say, yeah, okay, Microsoft own my rights of my existence and go with it, GPT, whatever 10 iteration of it, or or Google or Facebook. Like, I have a theory that I think humans are innately lazy.
I don't know. Raquel said live stream hopping should be a sport, which I can see that being.
So there are like 3 other live streams within our own community that's going on right now. So I was like, so Raquel, I love you, girl. I was trying to discreetly get you in there without, but yeah, maybe we get a bot for us to jump live stream so it looks like we're supporting each other. I mean, is that healthy? I don't care if I have 0 followers right now, but maybe in 2-3 weeks, someone's coming down the pipe and they're like, hey, I want you to be my, host or my producer, or, hey, I want to hire you too because you're good thought leaders. I'd rather have that. So I see you, Sarah.
So I have a friend that they're a YouTuber and they automated part of their YouTube channel. They made a secret YouTube channel and automated it. And so they had an AI generated face and it looks real and everything. And she goes through mathematical concepts and then at the end pitches a book.
Oh, yeah.
And and so this person gets the revenue from every single book, this AI generated girl who's very pretty, who talks about math cells. And they just said, hey, post a video every single day. Thank you. And they're earning money that way.
Okay, so look.
So they don't even have to get on camera and talk. Completely automated, completely made. They don't even have to like tell it what concepts to go through, and they don't even have to hook in which books to promote to go with the concepts.
Okay,
it's all automated, and it goes every single day, and it's this cute little blonde girl. I'm like,
okay,
oh.
Hold up. I feel like, yes, there's that one TikTok chick that was supposed to be a robot person and she finally stopped posting and all that. I still thought she looked weird. But then again, it was like, oh no, she wasn't TikTok, it was Instagram, right? Or one of the two. And I still felt like she looked weird. So the fact that she was an AI, I was like, yeah, I kind of feel like I vibed. I kind of sensed it. Are you saying this YouTube person looks that good that they look like us? Or were they just like, they look so filtered and like we are so used to this filtered image? Because that's another issue I think we have, is that we use way too much hella filters now that we are accepting these bots because they look more like what we wish we looked like. I am so disturbed right now.
Do you know how many filters it takes to get me to looking even this good?
Hey, by the way, I'm going on a rant.
It's rant time.
It's rant time. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, maybe I might want to do one. Okay, look, it's Syya rant time. Here we go. For just a quick second here, peoples. I have to do it. I think that's mine. I'm going to find a new little player here. But why is it that we as humans have this need to put on a fake front, put these freaking filters out the wazoo to the point where people no longer have noses, like, and no wrinkles, and then not only that, we're even doing it in real life. And I'm not knocking folks that do any facial cosmetics. I am talking about people that are doing taking it to the extreme, where they're talking like this and they're like, "I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm mad." I feel like we have done like what we've done to ourselves in real life, what we're doing with this culture, with this Instagram uber heavy makeup, all these makeup tutorials, that we are literally ushering in, almost demanding that we want these bots to do it for us. So now, instead of having human authentic connection, now we got bots making money because we're that lazy. Is that really the direction we're going in? Because I mean, are we soulless? Are we soulless? Rant over.
Go for it, Sarah. You're in the hot seat now.
I mean, I hope we're not soulless, but some of the content that you see on social media, it's all fake, it's all manufactured. So much so to the point, have you guys heard of the social media platform called Be Real? It's like,
I did see that. I have seen that.
I have. Yep.
And so the idea is that you are completely authentic and you have to take an authentic picture or an authentic video, and you are given a 5-minute warning to do so. And it's just randomly throughout the whole day. And it's like, be real, go. And so you have to share what you're actually doing. If you have messy, you've done makeup on and everything.
And now I remember why I was not interested, because that sounds terribly intrusive. And also,
well, everyone
probably
has
get some people some pictures that they don't want to see.
You have to post all at the same time, so everyone gets the same notification at 2 p.m. and you have 5 minutes to do it. And it's the idea is trying to push you to be more authentic, instead of, you do 5 takes, you chop them all together, and then you put the special filter on. And
like, anyone that knows me knows I will send random text messages and random pictures myself of Be Real. I don't need no social media thingy to like validate that. Yes, I haven't bathed today. What else do you want from me, people? What else do you want from me? I may or may not have brushed my teeth or washed my face. What do you want? I'm just kidding. Not really. They know the truth.
I put on deodorant, as far as you know.
Oh my God.
I mean, I can't tell. You're all the way not anywhere, even on the same side of the United States as me. So
okay. Smell-o-vision. Is that coming?
Smell-o-vision, right?
Smell-o-vision coming or not, you guys?
So smells are actually really hard for AI. And then they don't want to accept it coming into that space as well. Like, so a lot of the perfumers and stuff. So correctly measuring a scent with all the different parts per million to describe the scent, and then having the AI generate what does and doesn't smell good. Like the perfumers and stuff don't like that, unfortunately.
I hadn't even thought about that angle of it. I was thinking more like Syya was smell-o-vision.
But that's still hard, because if it's detecting on your end and then it has to release molecules on my end so I can smell it. Or is it going to say Jonas smells bad on my screen? And
well, I mean,
like I can handle that. Jonas smells bad and it's on the screen. I can deal with it.
So we could totally do that.
That would actually be like a permanent thing. It would probably be embedded into everyone's freaking like monitors. Like, Syya, please go bathe.
Susanna, yes.
Like that. Tell Syya to go bathe. All right. So Susanna Dawn, love you, girl. She is a sci-fi writer, and I love her. She does a lot of storytelling. But she actually I just want to add this in here that she said, Be Real can take a nasty turn. So let's talk about that, because being real and being authentic, that's wonderful and that's great. But at what point then does it become toxic?
Well, at what point are we making our, so we talk about art imitating life, but there's also the flip side of that, where we try to make our life imitate art. And at what point does Be Real turn into be fake all the time.
Right.
Because I mean, you get the notification on your phone, you're a girl, and you're like, oh crap, I gotta go like brush my hair, throw makeup on, and like make
in
myself
5
look
minutes.
presentable in 5 minutes. Versus, what's the alternative? Because that's kind of the society we live in, the stupid metric we're expected to live by.
That's funny. I used to care about putting makeup on, and ironically enough, I do have makeup on, and it's only because I had a client meeting earlier today. But yeah, it is interesting. Like, so let's ask Mr. Jonas. Hey, Jonas, how long did you take to prepare for your live stream this afternoon?
Probably longer than normal today because I'm in a different location. So technically I prepared for technology-wise, I prepared for about a half an hour because I'm in a totally different location. The lighting is all different. The background is different. I mean, you can't tell that, but my AI that manages that. But if you're talking about my hair and makeup, I did look in the mirror before we started and decided there was no point in trying to fix anything. So, and I shaved this week. I did shave this week.
Thank you, I guess.
Right.
Well, Sarah, how about you? What was your prep work for today?
I mean, I put on a different shirt because I just like to wear leggings and hoodies all day, and I actually did my face kind of a little bit.
Well, thank you.
I'm supposed to go out to a concert after this, so.
Ooh, what concert?
Extended use. There's this thing
big
called
on concerts.
Comport in Boise, Idaho. It's all this alternative rock. And it's like super huge. People come from like Europe for it. And it's right next to my house. I'm like, yeah.
And who?
The show has now been derailed.
Yeah, I don't. Shush. Keep playing.
Most of it's like indie bands that have like little to no. So like the whole point is to go and find these unknown bands that are like, they're really good. They're up and coming. And it's kind of a launching board for them. So I don't know any of that, like the headliners. The headliners are indie bands that no one knows.
Well, do me a favor. Like, awesome. Write down and let us know. Like, me and Jonas are working a little. The Jonas. I just realized your freaking name. the Jonas. You should like capitalize that. Let us know. I'm all about alternative music. Like, I love the cool people that no one knows. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna bring you back for a checkup. the test will be in a week.
Oh, stop it. We wouldn't torture her like that. But I am a huge fan of supporting local talent, local music. I just love supporting cool people that mean well. And again, that goes back to ain't no bot gonna do that for you. Like this is what gets me, people. I promise only once an episode. I won't do it. Okay. Here's the thing. Part of social media is social interaction. So, okay, fine. If you're going to automate bot-like posts and whatnot, just to get your message out so you like can hit up all the social media platforms, which by the way, is that really the best thing? Because each social media platform has its audience. Are you really appropriate audience for everything? Like, honestly, is my TikTok going to really be on a TikTok? I mean, really, who wants to look at this? Like dancing, like please. But maybe on LinkedIn, it might be a more appropriate audience. That's all I'm saying is
you dancing on LinkedIn. That's
I actually have something coming out on that soon.
Awesome.
Coming soon. But no, okay. Seriously though, it's the interaction. That's the thing that I think all the quote algorithms and the platforms really want from you is they know they run the risk of becoming a bot network, a bot platform. So now they are valuing people's profiles that know how to engage, interact, etc. But now I see people coding them bots to jump on random people's platforms. So case in point, Raquel, she had literally a random response to one of her posts, and it had nothing to do with anything. And it literally started with, "Oh, even though I agree with Raquel, I fundamentally oppose blah blah blah." And I'm like, "The hell is it?" Like, I hate
Yeah.
pink lemonade. I'm like, what the hell does pink lemonade have to do with what she was talking about? You know what I mean? So that's where I get very frustrated as well too, because is there any penalty for this, you guys? It's happening. It's going to happen. So do we care?
I mean, when I was a little girl and Instagram came out, I was like, I'm going to program my own bot to go around and comment on people's stuff for me, put little cutesy hearts and stuff. There are a bunch of rules. They will catch you. They will lock your profile up and stuff like that. And you have to be really smart about it. Like, you can only post a comment once every 5 minutes, or like you can only do it so much within a window. So even when you are a human and you interact and you're like, I'm going to send out 50 friend requests, after like 50, it's like, Sarah, we're going to cut you off. Like on LinkedIn, for whatever reason, I got added to a group and you're supposed to add everyone in the group. So I tried to do that. And I got in trouble because I added like 40 people. And it's like, no, you're not allowed to add 40 people, Sarah. And I was like, oh. So they do have a bunch of rules to try to combat the bots. But like some of the bots are like really crazy. And it seems like there's a human even behind it, because they're like, contact this WhatsApp number. And then there's a real human talking to you. And you're like, what? It's trying to sell you stuff.
You actually called them back? Girl.
Oh, I wanted to mess with them. And it was just texting. But like, haven't you ever messed with like someone that you know is trying to scam you for the sake of doing it for the funsies too?
Okay, I did it once, and I literally said "F off," and it was a political texter. Okay, it was like, during
Those are the best,
and like I said,
those
F
are the
off.
most fun.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, but here's the problem. Now you've just registered your phone number as someone that will respond, that someone will look at it, and all that good stuff. So unless your name is Paris Hilton, and you got to share that little tidbit, because that's a funny fracking fun post. So why would I mention Paris Hilton, Sarah?
Because before we went live, I brought up that Paris Hilton has 5 different phones, and everyone's like, whatever. But one of the phones is strictly just for prank phone calling people, for her and her mother's amusement. And that's all it's used for, is to prank people. And they all like to drink and prank people on the phone. So if only all of us could be as rich as Paris Hilton and have a phone dedicated to pranking people.
Dedicated to prank phone.
But here's the thing. It's like, at some point, their circle of friends have got to know, Paris has been drinking, or mom and Paris has been drinking. Here we go. Let's rock and roll. Like, it's got to be a point where amongst their circle of friends are like, oh, here we go.
That's part of the fun, though.
I don't think it's always
You're
like
in on the
friends.
joke.
Like, I don't think it's like friends of her. Like, you can prank phone call someone that is like a friend's friend and be like, hi, I'm Paris Hilton. And they're like, no, you're not. And, you prank them.
And her
I can see where that would be funny if you're.
Yeah. Like, no, but her voice is actually, her normal voice is a lot deeper than it is, which is funny. I guess it could be. Well, I wish anyone would prank me except for the wait, was it in warranty? Warranty callers?
Warranty, yeah.
Car warranty. Or we kidnapped your family. That's a really popular one right now. Like, we kidnapped your family. Yeah, I've had a few friends have that, like, where they're like, I have your sister. She's in Mexico with me. Send me money. And their sister actually wasn't picking up their phone during that time. So everyone had a little meltdown.
I had one say that my son
scam.
was. I had one say my son was in jail in like Minnesota or something. It's like,
I don't.
Are you in Minnesota? It's like, not that I know of. Okay.
All right, we're done. Yeah, no, that'd be good if someone called and said, yeah, my kids are somewhere. I'd be like, okay. F them. Yeah. I don't have kids. And not only that, I would probably say, give me their ear.
You're right. I want proof. Send me an ear.
It'd be scary if I did get an ear.
Yeah.
It's really advanced now. They like know where your address is the creepy part. They're like, I took your family, and then they'll put the address, because they went on the internet, they looked up your name, and they can see like where the houses are registered to what people. And they'll be like, I have your family from this address, like, give me money, or and that's scary.
So in a probably vain attempt to circle this back around to the subject matter.
What?
I mean, that's a bot that's initially generated,
right? Exactly.
You respond that it's a human. So it does have to do with bots.
When we were talking about this earlier, there was it crossed my mind that even back in medieval times, they had people that were paid to go out and shout the news or whatever that they wanted to promote in town. They had the town crier, and they had people who were paid to go out and incite the crowd and things like that. This is not that concept of having what some people would call a cat's paw to go out and manipulate things remotely is not new. That's been around for probably thousands of years, probably as long as people have been living in social groups. What's different now is that with our technology, we have made it cheap to do that with the technology. And so maybe the answer to the question is, or the question to the question is, how do we make it less cheap or more expensive to invade our lives with bots? And is that something that we even would pay for if the opportunity was there?
I mean, there are orgs that'll go out and they'll scrub everything from you off the internet. They'll file all the appropriate paperwork so your house isn't registered, your phone numbers aren't out there, and they'll make you disappear. When they do that, all your social media disappears too, which is weird because then you have a vacuum. There is no mention of Sarah in tech. What? There's no mention of Sarah. I mean, like, that's how I talk to most of my friends, is like Facebook, through Facebook Messenger. That's gone then. So you can pay people to remove everything. But do you want to?
But
like, do you lose your community? You lose your way to interact with your friends. Is that worth not randomly getting told your son's in Minnesota?
I didn't even know you had a son.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 2.
I did not know that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, the stories I could tell you about these kids. Oh my gosh. That's where all the dad jokes come from. That's why I have all the dad jokes.
Oh, I had no idea. I'm so like,
now you know.
I know. Oh my gosh, I learn something new every day. Like I learned the other day, I have another live stream I do on Tuesdays, and I didn't realize that my partner has published 2 books. I'm like, oh, sorry about that. And I'm sitting there promoting everyone else's book and not my own partner. I'm like, oh, I'm a great partner of yours. So guys, well, hey, we're gonna have to wrap up here at the top of the hour. But I mean, so the bot said what, guys? Like, so Sarah, you are like way more knowledgeable and way deeper than I could ever be. So what are your parting words and thoughts? Should we embrace our inevitable overlords or not?
I mean, like any piece of technology, be smart about it. Don't let your 3-year-old kids sit unattended on it when, kids are on social media, and the same things for ChatGPT. They might even should come out with a ChatGPT for kids, but like, be smart about it. There's some things you don't type into a search engine. Probably shouldn't type those things into ChatGPT or any sort of chatbot. Be smart about it. Like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. But I use it. I don't tell it everything. But it's a tool like everything else, like a search engine, like social media. And it's all about how you use that.
Well, I like that.
The thing, though, that I didn't get to plug that I wanted to say is one of my friends actually took ChatGPT and trained it on all the different religious texts. So they did one on the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, and you can interact with them. And for a lot of my friends, it's been like a giant release because there's a lot of things that you want to say because religion has caused a lot of pain in your life that you can't say to friends, family, or priests. And these tools actually helped them in that capacity because they could say different things and get a response from these religious oracles. So there is a lot of good to be had in this space. It's not all nefarious and stealing your kids.
So we need to use our powers for good instead of evil.
Yes, please.
You're a very kind person, a nice person. Jonas, what do you think for today's chat?
For today's chat?
Yeah, as far as any final thoughts, parting words?
Yeah, no, I'm really appreciative of Sarah stepping in and jumping on here with us and giving us some down low on some stuff and sharing some opinions, because I knew she would have some solid opinions to throw out there. And yeah, no, I think parting shot for me is just that, is like, all Sarah nailed it. It's a tool. It's not a person. It's not a organism that's got any internal motives or understanding. It's a tool. How you use it is going to be what you put in is what you get out.
And my final parting words, I shall add to yours. Yet.
Right.
Yet. That's my only answer. Yet. Yeah, I don't have a very positive view on this. So, on that note, guys, Sarah, such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. Jonas, we out. We out.
We out.
Thanks for joining Chats Among Us. See you next week.
See you next.